I never thought I would say this about a brand new deck not even out yet because I thought it was going to be good. It's actually Dogwater. Blue Eyes is absolutely terrible. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host with the most, Avery R32 here, and destroy the ever-living Blue Eyes boo-boo stain off that like and subscribe button as we climb even higher the 1,500 ladder. Only 30 subscribers away from 1,600. I really do appreciate all love and support. Hope you're having a fantastic day. I've been kind of taking a break from the game after making day 2 at YCS Orlando. I wanted to just rest and relax a little bit. The Eagles are destroying the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl, so that's going great. But I've also been, in my spare time, playtesting around with the Blue Eyes cards. And I wanted to make a video talking about this because either I'm totally missing something or this is just how the deck is supposed to function. I don't know. I really don't know. I've watched combo video after combo video, and the combos that the Blue Eyes deck can do are overall solid, right? It's essentially the Primite Bysteel Fiendsmith deck that a build got top 64 at in YCS Orlando. It essentially takes that concept, but you cut the Fiendsmith and the Bysteel cards, and you play a lot more engine in the form of the Blue Eyes cards, the 2 Blue Eyes Vanillas, and all of that good stuff. And you also have the ability to play Dominus Purge because none of the attributes that you play outside of maybe Magnamut really interact with the Dominus Purge if you activate it from the hand, and nothing in your extra deck really interacts because most of the things you play are light attribute outside of if you decide to play Little Knight and Sky Crisis, which aren't entirely necessary. It's very much different from my Fiendsmith Rise All List, where you actually have a lot of free space in the extra deck. But man, this shit is garbage. So I have a couple different builds on here that I want to show and just get the community's thoughts, because I really want to know, is there just something wrong I'm going about this, or is it just actual dog shit? So I actually commented on a video from El Exordio del Duelista. I'm not Spanish, so I'm sure I butchered that name. But I had made a comment on his video where I was like, look, this deck seems like it loses hard to Nib and Droll. And I don't know if people were just coping or what, but a couple people are like, oh, the deck doesn't care about Nib and the deck doesn't care about Droll. Like, you can play through it and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, how? Because in the combo videos that I've seen and in the combos that I've tried, number one, Prayers with Eyes of Blue is a pendulum call. You know what that translates to? It's a giant fucking Ash target. And you have to discard for cost. So if you get Ash, the opponent is getting a +1 off of your terrible card. So already out of the gate, this new support looks like dog shit. You don't want to draw the True Light. You don't want to draw Majesty with Dragons of White if you play it. You don't have to, but you pretty much have to because it's actually kind of a decent card. So you've got 2 cards in your deck that are basically bricks. Yes, the Maiden of White can pitch itself to play the True Light from your hand face up in the back row. Why the fuck would you want to waste a card out of your hand to do that? You want that shit in the deck. You want to be searching Majesty off the Prayers, assuming it doesn't get fucking ashed. On top of that, if you don't play this, then yeah, you can drop the Prayers to like 2 copies, but then there's still the case of the fucking Mausoleum. So like, in a typical Blue Eyes deck, you're playing 3 cards that you don't want to open with. You compare that to something like Rise All Fiendsmith. Sure, you don't want to open up the Paradise, but if you have Ice in hand, you can at least pitch the Ice to special summon out the Ice, and then the Paradise gets in your grave. Sure, you don't want to open up Lacrima, but if you activate Requiem and Tribute for cost and they chain Fualos, you can summon the Lacrima from hand, and then the opponent doesn't get a draw off the Fualos. If you don't have another normal summon, then you can still at least normal summon the Lacrima and dump Engraver or Paradise, whatever, and at least get a body on the field that can go into Requiem and then tribute the Requiem to summon another Engraver. So if you're dumping Engraver at that point, you bounce back the Lacrima, summon Engraver, you're still getting to wave High King at that point. So even cards that you don't necessarily want to see in your opening hand in like a Fiendsmith Rise All deck, you can still get value out of. These cards, you don't get any kind of fucking value. Only the Mausoleum is going to give you value if you've got like 2 level 1 light tuners in your hand. And yeah, Valor is technically a starter. That's cute. Why the fuck would you ever want to summon an Effect Valor to start your full combo and lose a hand trap out of your hand? So all of this to say that I would rather, if I'm going to be playing something Primite related, I feel like I should just be playing Primite Bysteel Fiendsmith, because then at that point you're playing the Alexandrite Dragon or Luster Dragon if you're afraid of Bysteels, and then you can play the White Dust on so that you have access to Fiendsmith line if you open it. If you open up these Blue Eyes, they're just bricks. There's nothing that you can do with these. Sure, like In a perfect world, you can use prayers to pitch the blue eyes. You can use True Light to summon one from hand. You can use the Lordly Load, summon one out, like whatever. You have other things available to you. But like, what if your hand is like double blue eyes, Nib, Ash, and Dominus Purge? Like, this is your hand. You're not winning the game. Like, real talk, you're not. And on top of that, getting back to the hand trap point, this deck plays into fucking Nib really, really hard. Like, your typical play is like you can go Ether Barrel to set load searches Drill Beam. The Ether Barrel can go into Spirit search Mausoleum. And then from there, you can like Mausoleum dump a Blue Eyes, and then like maybe you have Sage or Maiden, blah, 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 blah. You can end on a Spirit Dragon with like True Light, Mausoleum, like maybe Lordly Load up, like just off of an Ether Barrel. And then you go to pass turn, and they go into main Nib. And if you decide to try and like forego your main phase to see if they go like end of main Nib, then yeah, you can go like Lordly Load, summon a Blue Eyes. Maybe you've got the True Light up and you've got Drill Beam, but that's still not very good, especially if like you are foregoing like using prayers to like get the Blue Eyes ultimate targeting protection engraved, which even then that's not very good. Tyrant Dragon's not a terrible card, but it just doesn't seem all that good. So I say all this is like my draft build, right? Like you can take this build if you want and fuck around with it. The one thing that the Blue Eyes deck has going for is you can play like 15 to 20 hand traps, which is really nice. This was a Buy-Steal list that I was messing around with, where basically you take the Primite Buy-Steal deck and then you throw in the Blue Eyes cards. But then your deck count gets high and you might start bricking. Maybe you can play Roar. You don't want to open the regain, so you're adding in yet another brick. Then I was also messing around with Fiendsmith cards if this will load. You could play a third vanilla in the form of White Dust On, even though it's not a total brick. You can maybe play triple tap cards. Throwing in the Fiendsmith engine, your deck count's going to get higher. You may want to play Bingo Machine Go at that point, because the Blue Eyes cards don't lock you into anything besides Saga that locks you into only being able to summon or special summon from the extra deck dragon monsters. You can only summon dragon monsters from the extra deck, but you're probably doing full Fiendsmith combo before you get to this point. You also want to be searching the Saga off of prayers. You don't necessarily want to open it depending on what your opening hand is. Neo Kaiser is not terrible because you can summon it, go into Spirit Chainlink 1, Kaiser Chainlink 2, and then that can insulate you from getting ashed. I still don't think it's really worth it as a 3 of. Bingo Machine Go seems interesting in a higher deck count because you could reveal like 3 prayers and then get prayers guaranteed to come to your hand. But if you don't have all 3 copies in the deck, then it's going to be random what you get because you've got to pick other cards. Then it may not be ideal. So I don't see where this is good when you can just lose to shit like Droll, Nib, and like Ash on your Spirit Dragon just so easily. And I was looking at the OCG and I was trying to figure out like, what is it in the OCG that's different that makes Blue Eyes a contender? Because before Rizal and Malice got their second wave of support in Alliance Insight, and then they became the best fucking decks again, their format was just Orchest and Blue Eyes. Go look at Road to the King. It was literally just Orchest or Blue Eyes. Take your pick. And Blue Eyes was edging out Orchest because Spirit Dragon can shut down stuff in the grave, while Orchest revolves around the graveyard. So stuff like Shifter and even Spirit Dragon can really hurt them. You do have some cute interactions with being able to tag into like Ultimate Spirit Dragon and then Crimson Dragon make the Cipher Divine, and then Cipher Divine protects your ultimate from being destroyed. But at that point, you've committed over 5 summons. Like, you're not going to get to this Cipher Divine Dragon, which is a monster negate. It does insulate you from Nib. You're not going to get to that and then the opponent, like, not Nib you. Like, it's just not going to happen. Having up Ultimate Dragon and Cipher, you are insulated from Nib plus Imperm, but again, you're still not insulated from shit like Nib plus Valor. And at the end of the day, if they have that, they have that, right? But it's the fact that you're not going to be getting to this point between Cipher and Blue Eyes if the opponent even just has Nib, you know? And so most decks are playing Nib right now. And so I started looking at the OCG ban list and trying to figure out, like, what is it that's different? Well, they've got shit like Magma, Baldrake, and Druis Worm to 1. I think they even have a Sororian to 1, or it may be a 2 or something. But the point that I'm making is that buy-steals aren't as in many numbers in the OCG as it is here in the TCG. They also have shit like Max C. You can kind of do different things with your hand trap count with like Cross Out Designator and Call by It, those being at like 1 or 2 respectively, whatever it is. You know, you may not be seeing Nib as often because if you get Max Seed, maybe you're making a Heavenly Seals and passing, or you're just ending on like a Blue Eyes and pass. maybe you've got a drill beam in the back row, but that's not enough to take out decks here in the TCG like Fiendsmith Rizal. Their Fiendsmith engine has also been absolutely obliterated over there. Like, if I remember correctly, like Tract is at 1, Engraver's at 1, I think even Lacrima the Fusion's at 1. Like, basically the whole engine is at 1. So they don't have to really contest with like Fiendsmith and the OCG as we do here in the TCG. And just all of the gas to the floor that the Fiendsmith engine gives you when it's essentially a full power, even with Lacrima Band. You don't even need fucking Lacrima at this point. And so I feel like that the Blue Eyes deck is actually going to be one of the few decks that we've seen in quite a while suffer from OCG syndrome, where it's good in the OCG, but it's dog shit here in the TCG. Now, we could get some crazy good TCG exclusive support in Maze of the Master that makes Blue Eyes a much more playable deck. And again, there could just be some sort of sub-engine that I'm missing entirely. Maybe the answer is not Fiendsmith. Maybe the answer is the new Galaxy Eyes Tachyon stuff, where you open up Infinity Dragon, that gets you to a rank 8 Exceed, and then you can go into like Dragluxion to search the Tachyon Primal to get you to Transmigration, and then you're insulated from Nib with a counter trap in your hand, because then you just make the Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon off the Dragluxion effect, which is a really cool interaction, but the Transmigration can also be a fucking brick, and you're already playing enough bricks in this deck, not even counting the vanilla Blue Eyes. You know, unlike Bysteel Primite Fiendsmith, if you open up one or both of your vanillas, at least they're fucking playable. Like, you can normal summon a White Duston and have full Fiendsmith combo, and then use the Lordly Load to revive the White Duston, and then your Drill Beam's live. So you have other ways to use these cards. The vanillas aren't entirely bricks, especially if you're playing something like Dragon's Bind, like Alexandrite Dragon on the field, activate Dragon's Bind, you're good. The Blue Eyes don't do shit in your hand. So guys, let me know, is there something I'm missing with this deck? Is there just something that's completely flying over my head that I'm not seeing? I think this deck's going to be really dog shit in the TCG. It's going to be a nice budget deck for locals. You can actually, I've seen lists online where you can slam 3 Blue Eye structure decks together and have a good time and actually have a decently competitive deck. Because keep in mind, you're getting Nib, Ash, Valor, and Imperm in the structure deck, which is awesome. But outside of that, you take this to a regional YCS, I think you're just going to get clapped. Guys, let me know what you think down in the comments below. I really want this deck to be good because I really want to play it for my regional. That's March 22nd. But I don't know, because if this stuff is dog shit, I ain't playing it. Guys, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.